Unfortunately, we are living in a world in which words have been losing almost completely their true meaning. And words have been bastardized, violated, even raped, we could say, detached from their true original energy, true original meaning, which I believe in some words they still retain their true original meaning and their true original energetic blueprint. But other words have been constructed maybe even since the beginning as a sort of energetic missiles, energetic bombs. The very energy and intent, the blueprint behind most of the words that we use to speak at this moment is created as a form of darkness, a dark intent, an ill intent, an ill energy. So we are poisoning ourselves most of the times just by speaking. See many people seeing this illness of what words are doing to us at the moment, they've started to think that words and language in and of itself is the problem. But I think this might be different. I think that it's far from being words in and of themselves as a possibility, as a creation in and of themselves that are evil or bad or conducive to misunderstanding. I think it's our current words, the majority of the current words that we are currently using that have this effect. But intrinsically, words as a reality of their own, words as a creation on their own, I believe they are just, let's say, neutral, benign things. Words are just like a tool, like any other tool, like you would have a knife. If you use that knife to cut somebody, then that knife becomes something evil, let's say. But if you use that knife to sculpt a stone, let's say, you might use the knife to sculpt a wood or a stone and create a sculpture, an art form, then all of a sudden the same knife becomes something beneficial. So the knife in and of itself contains, let's say, both the possibility to harm and the possibility to create something beautiful. Maybe sometimes even to help. So I believe words are similar. I believe words in and of themselves have the possibility to harm us, but also to heal us, paradoxically. By the way, 4 or so years ago, I had this innate, like I had a deep experience 3 or 4 years ago, in 2020, I think, with the power of words. And I had this remembering that the original form of words, one of the original purpose of words were to heal us. Words were healers in the beginning. So I had this remembering, and it was really poignant, and it was really strong. It's like a strong internal experience which lasted for months, and I've started creating this small project called Ningwal, which was a project dedicated to creating new words through a form of poetry, words that were meant to heal. So I would enter in some energetic states, and from those inner energetic states, I would allow the states themselves to create words in me. So I would allow some form of energies to emerge as new words. And I knew instinctually, because I knew the energies, I knew those words were powerful, and I knew those words are healers. So 3 or 4 years ago, yeah, in 2020, 4 years now, I had this strong experience, internal knowing and experience with words, remembering that originally one of the main purposes of words were to heal us. So words can be healers as well. But right now, the way we use language in society right now, the way almost all the words in almost all the languages, not all the languages by the way, but most words from especially the most used languages like English, French, Spanish, or, you know, the most currently used languages contain words that at best they are benign, and at worst, the majority of them, they are poison. So we are poisoning our psyche with words by using words which contain as their blueprint an ill energy. Most of the words that we are using are constructed with an ill and poisonous, and simply said evil, energetic blueprint. So now we are exchanging these poisons all day long by just speaking them into existence. So we are poisoning each other by speaking most of the times. Because it's the poison is in the languages themselves that we are currently using, and the words themselves that we are currently using. And I had, just before beginning this recording, I had this memory, this recollection that came internally, that there were not so long ago, I believe, not so long ago, there were still words in our repertory of words, in the commonly used words, not so long ago. I don't know how to express it in time, because when I say not so long ago, I mean not so long ago in terms of sort of like experiential time rather than temporal time. So not so long ago, but this not so long ago could have been 100 or 200 years ago, or it might have been, you know, I don't know how to express it. Anyway, I'll just leave it to that for now, because I enter into a different thing with time, and I want to stick to words. So, not so long ago, I felt, right before beginning this recording, that there were still words in our current languages that were really powerful words. Words that had so much power to awaken and to heal us, to heal our perception and to restore us to our true perception of reality. Because that's what healing means, by the way. To heal something means only to restore it to its original version, and to heal us as human beings means only to restore us to our original vision, to our original perception of reality. Because in our original form, in our original version, we have a true vision over things and we see things correctly. And because we see things correctly, we know how to interact correctly with the reality around us, and thus we rarely ever suffer or feel pain. Because when you interact correctly with a certain thing, that's health, that's thriving, that's goodness. Because let's imagine, for example, you have a knife on a table. If you do not know how to handle the knife, or let's say somebody comes and shuts down the light in the room, and now the knife is on the table, but you cannot see where it is, what position it has on the table, and you want to grab the knife, let's say. But because the light in the room is shut off and the room is dark, now you go and you grab the knife, but instead of grabbing the knife from the handler, you end up grabbing the knife from the blade and you cut yourself. And this is an incorrect usage of the knife. The knife is not created to be handled by the blade, it is created to be grabbed by the handler. So incorrect usage of things is what leads to pain. But see, we have been growing to think that pain and suffering is intrinsic to this reality, but this is just happening because this reality has the light turned off. So right now there is a permeating darkness set upon this entire reality, and we do not see anything correctly, and thus we act incorrectly upon so many things in our reality, and we get bruised all the time. Even with a chair, if you do not see it in a room and you stumble upon it with your little toe from your feet, it will be an excruciating pain. Even the most benign thing like a chair can hurt you badly. So imagine now that the entire world, imagine that we extend the analogy of a room with objects in it that you can't see and you stumble in them and you hurt yourself. But we extend the analogy of a room to an entire world. So now imagine that this world has its true original and natural version of it, but somebody came and shut the light off. And now all of us, we became blind. We started not seeing things correctly, and we stumbled into the things in this world hurting us badly, time and time again. So this is why there is the so-called Buddhist type of existential suffering to this reality, because the Buddhist, let's say the Buddha, described the innate suffering that exists in this version of reality where the light is turned off and everything is dark. But if in a way or another, through a way or another, we would manage to turn on the light in the room, the light in the world, we would be able to have our true vision restored. We would be able to see things correctly again. And by seeing things correctly, finally, we would be able to slowly restore our comprehension of how to interact correctly with the things that now we see correctly. So our correct interaction with the things around us would be also restored, and finally we would be free from pain and suffering. This is why turning the light on is the first step into, let's say, being able to be free of suffering. You have to turn the light on. Now, what this turning of the light on usually is the re-establishing of the true vision of the true original creator, which created the original version of this reality, which usually, colloquially, let's say, we call it spirit. So this is why we practice awareness, for example. This is why we try to detach from thoughts and emotions, so we can acquire once again this true vision of spirit, the true vision of the heart. Because with the vision of the heart, one begins to see things correctly. So this was a short detour into the nature of suffering. But now back to words. So I believe originally, perhaps I could just say maybe after the veil has been set upon this reality and after the light has been turned off, there were still words which had the ability to turn our light on back again. So there were words which were able to heal us. Again, what healing truly means, it means the ability to restore us to our natural vision. This is what healing means. To restore us to our natural true version of ourselves, to restore us to our natural true vision of reality, to turn our light back on. And I believe not so long ago, to get back to what I was saying, not so long ago, there were still words in usage that had an immense power of healing, meaning they had an immense power to turn our light on. So only by hearing some words, your vision and your true sense of perception was restored more and more, and you would see things as they are more and more just by hearing some words. This is why words have so much power and words are magic. So just by having some words spoken to you or heard or even using them, because if this type of healing words might have been still in our languages not so long ago, we would use them all the time in a way. So just by either hearing or using these words, we would be rejuvenated and restored with health, and we would see things correctly. And imagine there might have been, and I sense that there was, and there still is, by the way, that's the thing. But let me start with there was first, and I will get to the present. So I believe there were many ancient societies, many ancient cultures, and not so long ago, again, when I say ancient, I don't mean it was far back into the past. I feel there were, and still are, contemporary groups of people that they are still using these ancient languages. And by using these ancient languages, their psyche is restored. They are in a state of psychic health because they see things correctly. So I believe that not so long ago there were still ancient societies, ancient cultures, probably, let's say, even some tribes somewhere, but even ancient groups, ethnic groups, smaller ethnic groups and cultures that were still using powerful languages, powerful healing languages. And because they were using these languages between them, all of them, they had a truer perception of reality, because that true language that they were using between them, they were keeping them anchored to the truth, to the true version of this reality. They were seeing things correctly because they were speaking things correctly, if that makes sense. Because sound is powerful. Sound has the most, in my opinion, the most amount of power over us. Sound is really a powerful thing. Sound has the ability to change our brain waves, to put our brain in a state or another. This is why, for example, have you noticed that hearing with the ears, it's the only sense of perception that you cannot close it on whenever you want. You cannot close your hearing with your will. We are always susceptible to hearing things. We cannot shut off our hearing. We can shut off our eyes. We can stop smelling things if we do not want. We can stop tasting things if we do not want. And we can stop touching things if we do not want. But we can't intrinsically stop our hearing. Unless we do something like, wait. See if I can hold the camera to show you. Unless we do something like this. And we have to squeeze really hard, and I still can hear things, I still can hear things. So you have to, plug your fingers into your ears and, press really hard, and you still hear things. You can diminish the hearing, but you can't stop it. Even if you plug and press hardly, you can't fully stop your hearing. Because sound is a really, let's say, primordial force of existence, and it is reflected in our human anatomy, as even in our human anatomy, hearing is the only sense which we cannot stop, because we are constantly susceptible to sounds. Because sounds, actually, they are the creators of our reality. Our reality is created through sound. This is why I also have to add this in, that most of the music that is being produced, I would say 99.999 of music that it is produced in this realm is full garbage. Because it is sound which is used with the property of poisoning our mind, poisoning our brain, keeping us in this dark sense of perception where we do not see things correctly. So music is engineered, is like, I don't know how to express it, but it's like without, getting into these subjects that sound a bit more fringe. But I would simply say music has been directly engineered to act as a weapon. And music is a weapon right now. All music that you hear, even if you have different genres of music, like you have jazz, you have, classic, you have pop, you have rock, you have whatever. All of them. Doesn't matter the genre. Because all of them, they are engineered to poison us. And I believe there was also true healing music created from time to time. But I believe that music was erased, most of it, from our culture today. And I believe some pieces of music, true pieces of music, have still been kept and given to the public, and they are there, but you have to find them, I would say maybe the classical music has some pieces of music, not all classical music, by the way, no. You have to find those pieces. It's like you have to find them needle in the haystack. But they are there. I think it's a rule of sorts that they had to preserve some ways, you know, some type of music, some songs somewhere, some words somewhere in some languages. They still retain their natural purity and their true power and their true healing ability at the same time. But you have to find them. So this is the thing with hearing and with sound and with words. They are powerful because sound is powerful. So I feel that not so long ago there were still these ancient cultures which preserved a much more pristine and pure language. And that language that they were using and the words in those languages, they were so powerful, extremely powerful beings in a way, we could say that the words were. Extremely powerful things that just by hearing those words, one would be instantly restored or seeing things correctly. Words, let me put it like this, words were having the same effect to our mind as psychedelics do. So with a single word being spoken, and even right now, there is the same ability, but you know, these words, these powerful words, they are kept hidden from the public. But a single word being spoken to you has the ability to put you in a what could be described as a full psychedelic trance, full psychedelic, what we would consider a psychedelic state, but rather that's not necessarily a psychedelic state, that's just probably a much more natural perception of reality. So a single word could be spoken to you with the right energy, and that word would instantly grant you the ability to see reality correctly. It would expand your consciousness instantly, and you'd just like flipping a button, you would see things like you would have taken, you know, some psychedelic mushrooms or DMT or something, just with a word. And similar to how words have the power to open our consciousness in this way and reveal more of reality as reality truly is, words can also be used to cut us off from this natural sense of perception and to shrinken our consciousness, to limit our consciousness, and to make us see it, reality, in this blunt way that we see it right now, where nothing appears to be magical, you know, and nothing appears to be, we don't have our true capacities and our powers with us, and everything seems mundane and grayed out. A word can open our consciousness, another word can close our consciousness. This is the power of words. So words in and of themselves are far from being good or bad. Language in and of itself is far from being the bad guy here. It's what type of language, what type of words. And to get back to what I was saying previously, let's get back to the present. Well, I sense that right now there are groups which have been preserving languages and words of really immense power. And they are using these words, and they know these words very well. And they are using between them these words, and because they use the correct words, that they have the power to open their consciousness. They have these people that they are living right now. They are among us. They know these words. There are groups among us which are using these powerful, some of them ancient words that still have been preserved. And because they have this secret language, let's say, secret words that they use between them, their perception of reality is different. They can enter into different states of reality just by using different words, which have a lot of power. But you know how, let me give you an analogy to portray what has happened to the public here and to the vast majority of humanity. You know how you can see that if you go to a supermarket, most of the times the food that you find in the supermarket, which is given to society, is the cheapest and lowest of foods possible. And if you want some type of quality food, you only find it locally in some community somewhere, in somebody growing it, and somewhere at a local farm, and you have to, you know, really search for that true, organic, tasty, nutritious, more nutritious food. But if you go to the local supermarket, you will only find usually completely unnutritious food, completely the lowest of foods. Even if it says, you know, organic on it, it doesn't matter. It's just a low quality food which is served to the population. So what is given to the population usually in this distorted version of reality is the lowest of things. So similar to how you can find the lowest of quality of food given to the population, or the most chemical type of water given to the population, labeled as, you know, clean drinking water, and who knows what contains in it to make us dumb and all sorts of things. Or the living conditions usually that they are given to the vast majority of the population are usually the lowest of the low. Similar, the languages that they are given to the mass collective of the population, they are the lowest of words, lowest of languages, which are engineered again to keep us in a low mental state, in a low state of consciousness. Whereas there are groups of people which are living contemporary with us. They are living here in the same society, but they are using different languages between them. And those languages grant them the ability to have a heightened perception of reality, a truer perception of reality. They see reality much more clear than we, the populace, are seeing reality by using these dark, ill, poisons, and low quality words that we are currently using. So, low quality languages yields low quality consciousness. High quality languages yields high quality consciousness. And I also sense that there has been recently, probably I could say even as recent as 100 or 200 years back, there has been a consistent and really intense movement of destroying everything that was pure in society. There has been a movement to destroy everything which contained purity and truth in it, including the languages, the true original languages, the ancient languages, the powerful languages that existed not so long ago, as I said. Maybe they existed even as recent as 100 and 200 years back, or 200 years back. But there was a consistent movement of destroying everything that was pure and true in this reality. So food was destroyed, or maybe introduced. The languages were destroyed. Probably our body and the DNA has been tampered with and modified, but that's another discussion. But mainly let's just stick to words. So, and the human condition. So I believe not so long ago we were still having a lot of creations, including, let's say, probably, but I don't see necessarily food, but I will just give it as an example, Paul. Probably, let's say, food, probably, let's say, music, probably, let's say, words, or even the air might have been different, even the sun might have been different, or the, you know, the atmospheric climate and the conditions on, you know, the living climate conditions might have been different, but it has been a consistent work to destroy everything which was pure and which was keeping us in this true, pure and pristine sense of perception, and which was keeping our mind to this heightened, extremely unimaginable, heightened, let's say, states of perception and states of consciousness. Like talking to the trees, for example, and hearing animals and plants and the sky and talking to everything around was 100% like the most basic thing in the world. Like, it's just so natural that we wouldn't even consider it as a superpower. It was just the most basic thing to everything, for everything to talk with everything else and to understand yourself normally with a tree or with an animal, and or with the sky, or with cells in your body, let's say, or it was just absolutely natural for everything to communicate with everything else. But since this extremely focused and determined destruction of everything that was keeping us in this natural sense of perception has been employed consistently, right now we find ourselves in this denaturated sense of perception, this limited sense of perception, this really limited state of consciousness. We have been imprisoned in our own mind. We have been imprisoned by our own consciousness. And now we are living with this limited state of consciousness that we are trying to understand how to restore it back to its original form. So, to conclude on this recording, the words that we currently use in society, they are the lowest of the lowest of words. It's like garbage. It's like sewage. Sewage words. Sewage languages. And because of these languages, this is why our state of perception is in such a low state of perception, and so such a low state of mind, and such a low state of body, and such a low state of consciousness all the time. We are not seeing things correctly, rather we are seeing things impossibly incorrectly. We are seeing things incomprehensibly incorrectly. And because we are seeing things incorrectly, we are acting incorrectly. We are damaging ourselves through this incorrect action all day long, and thus we suffer all day long. Our body suffers, our mind suffers, our soul suffers. We are in a constant state of suffering out of this incorrect vision. And what keeps us in this incorrect vision, one of the primal things that keeps us in this incorrect vision, is the ill and poisonous words and sewage languages that we are currently using. So this is why, for example, silence is healing. Because if we shut up, our natural sense of perception can be gradually restored to a state of, baseline of sorts. It is not going to be instantly, if we shut up or silence our mind or anything, it will not be instantly we will not be instantly restored to our heightened and true sense of perception, which is this mind-blowing experience which tops any type of psychedelic that you can imagine. It will not be instantly like that, but quieting our mind, silencing our thoughts, silencing even our words, is the first step in healing our perception of reality and thus ourselves. This is why silence is vital. And fortunately, it is still here with us. We all can benefit from the healing of silence. We all can decide with great efforts, to silence our mind. We can all decide to silence our experience of reality as well, and to detach from the noise which is most of this reality. Detach from the noise of people, detach from the noise of, the city, detach from the constant disruptive sounds and noise which just keep our consciousness in this lower state of perception. We can all, with effort, can decide to bathe in the healing nature of silence and allow this silence to wash us and to clean us of all impurities and of all misperceptions and wrong visions that has currently plagued our being like a cancer. This wrong vision has been infiltrating and making our consciousness ill, similar to a cancer. It has made the people mad, making them destroy themselves and destroy everything that was pure. And it was in this cancer has been using the people which has been infected as agents of further destruction. So then the people themselves infected with this cancer have been continuing to destroy everything which was pure. The pure music that probably existed, the pure languages that probably, for sure, I know they existed. Everything, the food quality has been destroyed, the nature around, the cutting of the forest, which has been lowering our true pure air, and so on and so on. So this cancer has been using human beings as agents of destruction. So it is up to us now to restore ourselves to this true sense of perception. First, by learning the skill of silence and to dip ourselves in this great silence and allow the great silence to heal us, to restore us to our natural true capacities and health. This great silence can be also described as the great void. It is the nothing. It is the emptiness. It is the silence. It is the void, which has the power to wash us of all illusions. And we now, it's in our hand right now and in our heart right now, as a power and a demonstration of true heart power and true heart will, to learn how to dip ourselves and stay in this silence. Choose the silence over the noise. Choose the void over all these garbage distractions that are offered to the population all day long as apparent good or pleasurable things, some of them. Poisons, all of them. The good and the evil which is offered to society is poison, all of it. So it is up to us now to do this effort, to restore ourselves and our consciousness, let's say, to its true natural form and to restore ourselves to our true natural vision by staying in this silence, neutrality, nothingness, emptiness, and void. And the void will wash us of all illusions. And there might be a possibility, I believe, that through this great silence that is soon approaching, by the way, the great silence is soon approaching. And there might be a possibility for those of us which choose this great silence consciously to restore not only ourselves but the world to its true, original, natural form.